It's one of the greatest days I've ever seen, one of the greatest days of my life. A person-centered planning meeting for my 10-year-old severely disabled daughter. You're going to hear all about it today on Driven by Purpose.
This is Driven by Purpose, a show about finding your purpose, building fulfilling careers, and helping people with disabilities live better lives. Hosted by three men who've lived it and are here to help you do the same. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Clean Logic, a leading bath and skincare company and a true pioneer in creating inclusive workplaces and increasing employment opportunities for people with disabilities.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Driven by Purpose. My name is Evan Rosenblum, along with the co-founders of Clean Logic and the Inspiration Foundation, Isaac Shapiro and Mike Ghesser. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, Evan?
What's up, Evan?
All right, we have done it. It was amazing. One of the greatest days of my life. The person-centered planning meeting for my 10-year-old severely disabled daughter. What is a person-centered planning meeting, you may ask?
What is it?
Great question. Yeah, it's a good question, Mike. So at my daughter's school, the administration suggested that we have a meeting for my daughter, who's nonverbal, has brain damage, severe cerebral palsy, with her best friends from school, with her teachers, with her paraprofessionals, and other people that she would invite, including her brother. She invited her grandparents. They couldn't make it. And other people. There were probably like 15 people in this meeting to have a planning meeting to discuss her post-high school future, like basically her adult life. She's 10 years old, right? People were asking like, why are you doing this? Like, this is weird, right? And I'm like, no, I was very excited for this, because one thing I learned about my daughter is that she has so much potential. She has demonstrated that she can learn stuff. It just takes her. She can learn very complicated stuff. I mean, she's learned this whole language system. She's nonverbal, but she communicates using this pod system. It's an AAC device. It's a computer thing. It's this really complicated language, but she's mastered it. And she's very articulate in the way that she communicates. It's amazing. And the fact that she's mastered this proves to me that she can take on anything. So when the administration suggested they wanted to have this meeting to start planning for her life, I was like, great, because what this does is I have an idea of what I think she wants to do, even though she's only 10 years old. But what she talks to her friends about and her teachers about and her paraprofessionals about and other people in other aspects of her life when she's away from her parents and her brother, everybody comes into this room and we all discuss Sydney, and Sydney talks about it all in this one room, and we all kind of brainstorm together. So we all are like, hey, look, she's nonverbal, and it's, when she communicates, it's hard for her to articulate as free-flowing as we are right now, right? Everything is very intentional. It's a slower process. So let's all get in the same room together, and we can all talk about our experiences with Sydney, what we've talked about with her, if she's brought up any interest that she's had, and then she can basically help navigate the conversation and tell us what she likes, what she doesn't like, if we're on the right track, if we're on the wrong track, and we can start helping to kind of organize a long-term plan for her, which is awesome and amazing in theory. And then when this actually happened, it was more amazing in practice. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And I cannot recommend this enough. It was incredible. It was awesome. I wish I could have live streamed this, but there were a lot of kids Sydney's age, so get consent and all that stuff. This was amazing. All right, so first off, it happened right after school, and Sydney invited 8 of her friends from school, which was popular. A whole thing. Because it was a whole thing. It was some drama.
Are they all disabled or
no? They were all typical. They were all typical kids, because she's in a school that is an inclusive school. So there are kids with disabilities who sit right next to kids who are typical, who sit right next to kids who are gifted.
Sure.
And so she was the only kid in this particular class that had a visual disability. Every other kid appeared typical. I don't know, what else they have going on, but they all appeared typical, and they're all great kids. All these kids in this class were awesome. Yep. Boys, girls, they were all around the same age. And then there was her teacher, a couple of paras, her teachers that she's going to have as her teachers next year. Some other people who work at the school, some other administrators. I was there, obviously. My wife was there. There were probably in total about 15
Mm-hmm.
people, and it was incredible. So one of the administrators we brought food. We brought all of Sydney's favorite snacks, so all the kids, felt comfortable because I think they had an idea of why they were there, but because we had to send consent forms to all of their parents so they could sign off to be there. So I don't know if their parents fully explained to them what was happening, but when we all sat down, they all had Sydney's favorite snacks. So they had banana walnut bread from Starbucks, and they had guava juice, and they had Oreo cookies. So they were all stoked to be there. But then when we explained to them, like, look, we're all here to talk about Sydney and what she likes to do and her planning and stuff like that, they were even more excited to be there. So one of the first things that we did was we put signs up all over the walls. And I'm going to send you guys these signs. And it was like, what is Sydney? It was an action plan. Who will do what by when?
So it's like what do you call those big Post-its?
Yes. And then there were these all over the wall. And there were signs that said, like, where are Sydney's favorite places in the community? What are Sydney's strengths and talents? Let's think big. What would Sydney's dream future look like? Where will she live? Where will she work? What will she do for fun? And what everyone's job was to do was write notes and place it under each thing so that we could all kind of like, we all had sticky notes, and we would all write what we thought and we would all place them. And so we all had time to like write our thoughts and place them under each thing. And then after everybody filled out their notes and placed them under each chart, we went around the room and we discussed.
How long did that take, and what was Sydney doing watching? Because I just could imagine being an individual myself, being like, God, everybody's here for me, and there's yellow Post-its here, and what are you going to say about me? How is this whole thing going on with Sydney?
So Sydney loved it, right? Because she's the center of attention, and she knew that everybody was there to talk about her and talk about her future, and she loved it. Was like a party for her. It was like she was the center of attention. Everyone was there for her, talking about her. She was so giddy. She was so happy. It was great. And then as everyone's like filling this thing out, like it was really funny because all these kids, they're all like 10 and 11 years old, but it became competitive in a way because between the kids and the adults in like the sweetest way, by the way, not in like a cutthroaty way, but like these kids, you could tell they were like, where's Sydney's favorite place in the community? All right, well, let's see. Somebody wrote like, well, she really likes to go to Starbucks. And then like somebody saw that like she wrote Starbucks, and somebody else was like, she does love Starbucks. She also loves pizza. And they were trying to like outthink each other.
Yeah,
like,
who
where does
knows
she
her
really
the
love
best?
to go? Yeah, and like they were really, it got competitive, but in the best way.
I
So
kinda
everybody
like
had
it.
like really thoughtful answers. And then when they put their answers on the chart for all these different boxes, it really did give a really good, thorough kind of portrait of who Sydney is and what she wants to do. And the teachers and the kids and the parents and everybody in different parts of her life had different answers.
Of course.
And it was really great to see. And when people were talking, when the leader of the person-centered planning meeting, who was one of the administrators from the school, she was leading it. Her name is Miss Fernback, and she's amazing. When she was leading the meeting and she was going through everything, as she was discussing each bucket, I'm sitting there as the parent and I'm going, well, I know this because Sydney and I talk about this, but I didn't know that. But I know that now. And it started opening my mind to like different avenues and different things that like we could be doing with Sydney. And it was awesome. And one of the kids was like, Sydney really she talks about her power chair all the time. Well, Sydney's currently training in her power chair. But like, to me, it seems like when I take Sydney to power chair training, it seems like when you take a kid to practice, like piano practice.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, they're going to appreciate this one day. But when you're taking them to practice, it's like, oh, going to practice. So that's my dynamic with Sydney when I take her to power chair practice. But she brags about it to her friends. So that's great to know that she's like really proud of the fact that she's learning to drive a power chair. Her friends are like, she really is excited about being independent and driving a power chair. That's something that's really important to her. That was awesome for me to hear.
What's interesting, the feedback that you get from other people that know your kid that you wouldn't normally get at home Do you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like I hear stuff like that all the time, and it's like, I didn't know that. But it's great to get that data from the people that know her best outside of the home.
I'm excited because now I'm like, what did the future say? Because that's what I'm really. I've been on suspense. I'm jumping to it too soon, but I'm really
No,
excited
a
to hear
lot
this.
of the kids and the teachers, I mean, one common thread is that she loves Starbucks. She loves it
I
across the
love
board.
it.
So that made me really excited. Another thing that she loves to do is she loves playing music. She is known as the school DJ. She
Oh wow.
loves music. Everybody, I mean, we know that, but like hearing it from everybody was great. So one of the things that we brainstormed in this meeting together, and part of the cool thing about having the administration there with the kids and the parents is that we were all like, how can we lean into the fact that she has this love for music? How can we continue to grow this and turn it into something that becomes like a real skill instead of just like a trick that she does at lunch where she plays for her friends? And we're like, well, wait a minute. What if we do like a themed music DJ session once a month based on like whatever's happening that month? So like in March, maybe we do like an Irish music thing for like St. Patrick's Day, or, like in December, we can do like, she can do like a little Christmas concert or like a holiday music concert or something for lunch. But like we can theme like a music lunch that she can DJ once a month, and she can prepare for it, and she can
Curate
actually
her
put
own
together a
playlist.
music. She can put together the playlist. We can design, some of her friends can help design the stage. Like we can make it like a whole thing. And everybody loved it. And the administration was like, absolutely, we'll support this. Sydney loved it. Her friends loved it. They're like, what can we do to support this? So like we put those plans in motion at the person-centered planning meeting. So now next school year, Sydney's going to one day a month at lunch, we're going to promote it as like this Sydney's going to
DJ is
DJ once a month.
Sydney. What's the
The other thing
DJ
is
name?
she's got to come up with that. We talked about this. She's also going to like DJ the school dance. She's got not the whole dance, but like she's going to have like a portion of it where she can come up and like, yeah. And so they're going to lean into this. The school is going to lean into her love of DJing and find ways to integrate that into like school activities, which is an amazing thing that the school is doing. And then as far as like the coffee shop thing, one of the things that like everybody was talking about was like how social she is and how they want to continue to grow her social skills and her interactivity and all that stuff. So they're going to continue to work on maybe like helping her in like lunch line stuff and helping the people that serve food and stuff like that. Like she can kind of like shadow those people and help with stuff like that to learn those skills. But like we came up with a bunch of different ideas for her to like help grow these skills, to learn these things. And again, it's not like she's going to learn this stuff overnight and be ready to work at Starbucks next year, whatever.
It's the start of a plan though.
It's the start of a long-term plan.
I'm seeing a vision already of like this modern coffee shop that has people with disabilities, and you walk in and there's Sydney DJing and you got cool music. I don't know, just it's interesting. Like I'm already seeing the vision because like you're bringing some of those components, and it sounds amazing that you're able to have that much support, and then the school coming behind. I mean, that's like any kind of kid's dream.
The thing I love about kind of this whole thing is you probably wouldn't have you wouldn't know this as well as you know this if you didn't have that meeting in the first place, and you didn't bring the kids in, and you didn't bring the other teachers, and everybody's having a conversation about her. So I think the purpose of that meeting is great, especially when you're talking about what does long-term look like? What does she love? What does she want to do? When you're not going to be able to get it from her in certain areas or certain ways that you would be able to get it when there's a group of people that know her best.
I completely agree. And, Mike, I'm curious your opinion on this in particular, but like, I also feel like when you bring in the friends, they're at the age now, Sydney's 10, some of her friends are turning 11. She's turning 11 in August. It's like, we're at the age now where it's like, they're all starting to kind of realize that, what her disability is, and that, they're starting to see the real differences. And some of them are
The friends?
the friends, obviously, it's
Okay.
like they're starting, It's not as simple as it used to be when they were younger
Sure.
and
Yeah, I
everything was
understand what
just
you
so
mean.
easy. You know, as,
Yeah, I
as
understand what you
things
mean.
get older, it becomes more difficult. But I feel like what this meeting does is it's just like, hey, everyone, you are all her closest friends. She handpicked you all to be here.
Yeah.
We are all just going to acknowledge in this group setting that like she has these severe disabilities. But that's okay. And we're all going to just talk about this and we're all going to acknowledge it. And there's no shame in asking questions. And there's, we're going to talk about the fact that she needs these supports
Mhm.
and that she needs people like you. She wants people like you in her life
She
to
picked them.
help her. You should be honored that she has picked you. And by the way, if this is something that's too much for you, like that's okay.
Of course.
That's okay too. But like she's, she would like you to be a part of her circle. And if it's too much, like there was one girl, and I'm not going to name a name here, but like there was one person in this meeting. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's okay, who seemed a little, I don't want to say overwhelmed, maybe a little scared.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
It's
And
definitely a big responsibility.
The reason I would say she was a little scared is because I feel like as she was processing all this, it was like, I think that she was starting to realize that like, oh, like I didn't realize that Sydney is like as disabled as maybe she is. Like, I think that like,
No, I have a question on that because you brought up something that kind of made me think. Because right now I'm trying to teach my 4-year-old Sloan that her grandmother is blind, and I don't think she fully grasps it. So she kind of does a yeah. So, Mike, we talk about your kids, they recognize, but then you're in a 10-year-old. So, can you maybe just define? Because my daughter's like, yeah, your grandmother's blind, but you're saying they don't fully understand. So,
yeah, but
I'm
like
very
my
curious because
assumption based on what I saw is that this person hadn't really put a lot of thought into, and why would she put a lot of thought into like what Sydney's disabilities are and like what it means for Sydney's life down the road. Because why would a 10-year-old think about Sydney's life down the road? Right. But when this is all kind of in front of her, when they're discussing like Sydney's life, I think when you're 10, you think like what your life plan is, you just think like, oh, life is just, you go to school, you get a job, you go get married, whatever. Like you just think like life just happens and it's
Yeah.
going to unfold for me. But like when you're in this meeting and you're being told like Sydney needs help. Wait, Sydney's not going to be able to talk. Sydney's not going to be able to live. Sydney's going to need help living with
Yeah.
somebody. Like she's not going to be able to drive a car. She's going to like,
so it's the
whoa.
detail. It's the details
Yeah.
that go
They
behind
don't-
it. So they understand there's a disability.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Okay.
the conversation with the details, with the information, now it sounds like it's being presented to them and it's a whole different understanding of what the disability is or how it's going to affect Sydney, things that they have never considered before. And I
Right.
think it's big for a 10-year-old. It's
It's
big for a
b-
10-year-old.
Right.
It's big for a parent.
It's big for a parent.
It's big for a parent.
Yeah.
It's big for a 10-year-old. I
Yeah.
get it.
So then what's the solution to that? I think the solution personally, and again, this is coming from my perspective as the parent of the kid with a disability, is I think that the solution is more exposure.
What does more exposure mean to you? What does that look like?
What I've learned is that Sydney has a friend that she was really close with for a while and she hasn't seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they do see each other after a big gap in time, Sydney's developing so fast and this other person is developing in her life so fast. And then when they see each other, it's almost like this other person forgets how to interact.
Yeah.
It's almost like she loves Sydney. I know that, but it's almost like I forgot exactly how to behave and handle myself around Sydney. And so if like you're around Sydney as she continues to develop and grow, it's just normal for you. But if you're away from it for a while and then you have to come back to it, there might be a little bit of shock. I know I'm not doing the best job explaining
I know
it,
what
but
you're
I'm
saying.
trying.
It's like the way I guess my experience with Rosie is like Rosie has friends at school that she knows and she sees every single day and interacts with every single day. And like kids she sits next to that want to do, group projects with her. but it stops after school because there's such a difference in abilities, in communication, interests. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like developing friendships for her isn't like typical kids develop friendships. Like, you know, some
So
kids
let's
like,
get into that. I think that's almost like a topic because you're right.
it's a topic.
How like you guys say friends, but I think the best thing when I think about it as a kid, it was all about after school and all the stuff we did to tear up our neighborhood, play basketball. So talk
It's
to
different for
what is
disabled
that?
kids.
Talk to
It's
us a little bit more
different.
about
And I
that.
think there's all different types of disabilities. For Rosie's is more profound. She's nonverbal and she needs a walker to get around. So it's like, it's not, she doesn't have the type of freedom that another kid has. And I love the fact that it's inclusive in her school and she interacts with people, but I can't blame another 12-year-old for having different interests or not having patience or not totally understanding what Rosie's limitations are. So the friend thing is, it's an interesting scenario. It's not to say that there aren't a ton of kids that she interacts with regularly that don't care about her or want to be with her. But I haven't met any 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds that like have the patience or the interest to truly like, hey, Rosie, let's go see a movie and I can, you know, help you in the theater, or, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of sad, but I don't blame a kid, but it certainly affects.
So this came up in the meeting, in the person-centered planning meeting. This exact situation came up, and we're like, because we're talking about like specifically after school came up. Because we're like, after school, these kids are going, typical kids are going to their after school events, and Sydney's going to her therapists. She's going to her physical therapist, her speech therapist, her horse therapist. She's got all of her
different
things.
lives.
It's completely different lives.
Yeah.
And as they get older, there's going to be this separation. So how do we figure out ways to like not let the gap get so wide?
Yeah.
For this exact reason. And we were talking about like one of the things that Sydney's friend group does a lot. She has a lot of friends that are into like these acting groups. Like a lot of them are like, these do the after school plays. And so we were talking about like, look, like Sydney's not gonna be able to like deliver lines, but like maybe this came up. We're like, well, maybe we can contact the company that does the after school plays, and Sydney can figure out a way to like do something with the production, like the lighting, or like hitting buttons on the thing and like music cues or something like that. And at least she can be there during rehearsals and stuff like that. So she's like at that. And maybe that's in lieu of like a therapy once a week to try and keep her in that. So like we can find something where there's common ground with a friend group.
No, but I think that would
if
work.
she's interested.
It reminds me of a story, and I don't know if Randy told it on our podcast or it was when I heard him speak at one of the things that one of the events he spoke at. But he talked about, actually, no, it was now I know when we went to the Walgreens distribution center, one of the warehouse people was talking about it was amazing when we had an employee, I think it was cerebral palsy or down, but I think it was cerebral palsy because of the hands. And they did a red button and they were able to get it. And that what they were able to do and standardize to help this person actually helped simplify a lot of things. But what I'm thinking is like, there's ways, get the team in the room and get them to talk about, hey, Sydney likes to do this, but they talked about it and they never thought that this person would be doing this job, but it got everybody around. And this person was doing stuff with the computer and they changed the way order entry was done by this red button.
The after school bonding is, look, when I think about high school and middle school, like I think about like my core memories from high school weren't things that happened in the classroom, right? My core memories from high school were things that happened at football practice, at stupid parties, dumb shit that we were doing.
Yeah, getting together with your friends.
All that stuff. And I think that's for Mike and I, like those bonding moments that really kind of made us gel with our friend groups. And like, those are what we're thinking, like, how do we create the circumstance for those moments to happen with Rosie and Sydney and their friends? And that's the challenge. And it really is it is hard. It is something that it weighs on both of us a lot.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but
and-
I go back to, you just said after school, maybe she can do something.
but
That's
it's
what I'm saying.
It's
Can
not
you
about
get the-
us. It's not about us not being willing to take our kids and put them in that situation or to be with people. It's about finding the people who are willing to take their time to be with our kids and to interact with our kids and to help our kids and facilitate the things that they're not able to do on their own. So it's not for, it's not the parents don't want to, or Rosie or Sydney doesn't want to. It's about finding those kids that are like, yeah, I love this kid. I want to hang out. I want to do things. At 13, 12, 11, 10, it's an interesting age. And it's also the other parents.
Yeah.
Like it's not every parent is familiar with kids with disabilities. They may not know how to do, interact or something like that. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not saying it's impossible, but you got to find it. And the only people that I know, parents or kids, are maybe somebody that has a sibling with a disability or a parent who has a kid with a disability that's open to it. But it's the parents getting together, bringing the kids together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's one example I know of a person, and I want to have her as a guest on our show, and we will. There's one example of a person I know who took the initiative upon herself to become friends with somebody with a disability and make it their life. And it's Lindsay from 321 Coffee. I'm not going to tell her story, but she had a friend, and I don't remember if her friend was autistic or had Down syndrome, but she's like, I love this person and I want to know this person and I want to be friends with this person and I want to interact with this person. And while they were learning about this person and having a genuine friendship, that's how she started 321 Coffee. So it's not impossible, but it's so rare.
Yeah. And
I think about it all the time.
I want to end with something that's going to make you feel better. And I'll tease this for a future show. This is going to make you feel better. My daughter was invited to one of her friends' birthday parties recently, and it was at Disneyland. And
that's the best place for a disabled person to go for a birthday party.
Yeah. First off, I was just like, how is this going to go? Because my daughter is the only person in a wheelchair and everybody else is typical. And you know how this, it's like, okay, there's like 5 girls that are 10 and 11 years old. They're going to want to run around and go on all the rides. I'm going to be pushing Sydney around the whole time. I hope this doesn't separate where like the girls run off and I'm like sitting with Sydney and we're like alone the whole time and she feels left out. It was the opposite. Yeah. It was such an
It was the best birthday party ever.
First off, shout out to Disneyland. And again, we have to do a whole
100%.
show on this because Disneyland was incredible. It was, the whole thing was built for inclusion. And I want to shout out so many things about Disneyland. But
all day.
You know what happened? It was the girls rallied around Sydney the entire time. Every ride they did together. First off, Sydney did Space Mountain. She did Thunder Mountain. She did formerly Splash Mountain. Now it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. She did the Loop-de-Loop and the Incredicoaster.
So Disneyland's got just as accessible as Morgan's, huh?
Disneyland wins. I don't know about Morgan's is different, but Disneyland wins.
Disneyland
Morgan's wins. Disneyland wins.
But can I tell you something? Core memories, and Sydney was a part of it, and it was incredible. And I feel like it left me and my wife feeling like this was a true core memory bonding moment. It happened after the person-centered planning meeting with every girl, almost every girl that was at the party was at the person-centered planning meeting. They understood everything that was going on. They were keenly aware of everything that was happening with Sydney. They were amazingly supportive. They are really special people, and I hope they're in Sydney's life for a long, long time. And I think that this was an event that will hopefully bond them together for a long time.
Yep. Well, hey, you guys, and I appreciate you telling the story, but I think that's what we're doing is we're normalizing, and it just shows you how early we are because we didn't even know what person-centered planning was. And again, I want to preface, it should be for everybody. It shouldn't just be because I think it's amazing. And I'm, really happy for you. And Mike, I think it was just a great story because I would love to learn more about how to build on that friendship. But it sounds like
This
you left
episode turned out to be an episode of a roller coaster of emotions, huh, Mike?
Yeah, it's a really good one. I like it. Can't see
man.
the final one.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Disneyland is an episode, man. We've got to talk about Disneyland. Shout out to Disneyland.
Blown away. I was blown away how they did it. It was like, I couldn't even expect it. And I was just one after the other. I'm like, this is incredible. Never experienced this.
Save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
Save it for the show.
All right, that's gonna do it for us here at Driven by Purpose. Remember, subscribe, like, share, all the stuff. And also Substack. We got some cool stuff happening on Substack. Follow us there too. All right, we'll see you next time. Driven by Purpose.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.